At PLD Space, we developed in record time the MIURA 5 launch system. The stages of the launcher are already integrated and they are ready to go to Teruel in order to start all the operation for the system level testing.
We successfully tested the TPLC and TPLC vacuum engine, reaching nominal condition and collecting a lot of data. This test campaign allowed us to confirm the actual design choices and also to make a final iteration for a fine-tuning of the flight unit version.
During the last 3 months, we proceed to release almost 100% of the manufacturing drawings of the primary structures and secondary structures in order to allow to the other department of the company to start with the manufacturing of the metallic parts and composite parts and provide them the information also for the integration and the assembly of the major components. So now during these days we are completing just the last few drawings, but almost the 100% of the drawings are released.
From the GNC side, we are progressing with validation and qualification of guidance, navigation and control algorithms for all mission phases. This includes extensive simulation analysis for nominal and off-nominal conditions. We are focusing on robustness, numerical stability and adequate margins. In addition, we are integrating GNC with flight software and Avionics for hardware in the loop test, and we are improving our simulation models based on test results.
From the Avionics subsystem, we can say that most of the qualifications are performed and the units have been qualified correctly for the MIURA 5 SN1 and all the other MIURA flights. With the data obtained from the qualifications, we are improving the designs and optimizing the designs for better performance of the launch vehicle.
From the flight software perspective, we have released a new version in which all the features needed for flight are completed, and which we are giving feedback from these qualification campaigns to improve and to finally have the final version for the flight.
From the LTV point of view, we are starting to integrate the software and GNC in a real hardware platform. We are performing closed loop and open loop tests, so we can characterize some of non-real or non-simulating parameters to improve the design and the coherence between all these subsystems.
Yes, and this is also helping us to find, as Mateo said, real-time performances and to be able to measure them and improve the flight software through these iterations.
So here we are in the final vehicle assembly line where we can see the two MIURA 5 we produced in the past just a few months. So we have been capable of producing from scratch structures on the first stage and second stage, as well the interstage, producing the full vehicle assembly, which are those ones you see in the back. So it's not about just the structures, but also all the engine components and turbopump components and avionics, just to produce two complete vehicles in just a few months.
During the last quarter of 2025, the Propulsion manufacturing plant achieved significant progress within the MIURA 5 program. Following the successful completion of our test campaigns in Teruel, we were able to unlock the qualification models for TPLC and TPLC vacuum engines. Among our key milestones, we have manufactured the qualification components for the turbopump assembly, including both rotative and static elements, as well as the gas generator. And we also consolidate the production of the combustion chambers, ensuring a reliable and a replicable serial manufacturing process. To complete these efforts, the manufacturing of the engine flight valves, fuel, and oxygen continue underway between other components for both stage engines. If we focus now in our capabilities, we completely internalize the additive manufacturing processes, covering the end-to-end production life cycle. In that way, and in addition, with our electrodeposition, machining, and welding processes, we reinforce the plant's role in the MIURA 5 development.
Securing the integration, in the vehicle integration area, we have the Qualification Model 1, which is a first stage of MIURA 5 that has been already qualified. Both tanks have been already qualified, not only for a single flight, but also for reusability. In actually, fuel tank has passed more than 150 tests between internal pressure and compression to make sure that the stage is not only ready for a single launch, but also for its combat from space and reusability. Additionally, this integrated stage will be used for the wet dry rehearsal. We are going to perform to validate that stage one feed lines and all the systems around the stage, not only considering the tanks, are ready for a final vehicle integration before first flight. And here is Qualification Model 2, both fuel and LOX tank. We're going to repeat again testing for qualification on both tanks, on pressure and compression, making sure the structures are fully ready before the production and integration of the Flight 1, which is already there because we know that structures are performing as expected. There's no issues, but just to make sure, we produce 2 tanks, 2 vehicles, and now we are going to start the final assembly welding of the structure for Flight 1. So here in the welding area, we have the second stage, LOX tank. This is the qualification stage unit. This is a second stage we're going to produce for performing static testing in a full mission of the second stage. So the goal of that test is to make sure that all the processes and all the interactions between subsystems are happening smoothly before we launch MIURA 5. So it's quite hard to fly a second stage, and in some cases there is not so much information for making the stage working in the vacuum of space. So we're going to test this stage in ambient conditions. So we're going to make a full mission on the T2 bench, which is a bench designed for testing second stages. And additionally, we're going to perform EMC testing, electromagnetic compatibility testing, to make sure that all the subsystems around the stage are interacting between one to each other without any problems. So we're finalizing the production of the liquid oxygen tank. Fuels are already produced, and pretty soon we're going to start the integration. Stage will be ready in March for performing the testings, and later on, second stage will be ready to fly. So as the qualification program for structures is finalizing, we're producing the first flight models, the first serial number 1 structures that will fly on MIURA 5. So this is the central barrel for the fuel tank. It's fully welded. We are just starting to weld those final parts on the domes, but structure is already welded and accepted. And here you have the central barrel for the LOX tank, which is already welded and inspected. So in the next weeks, we're going to continue the welding processes for the end of the structure, so both domes, before accepting those tanks, and later on integrating into the launch vehicle. This is our clean room facility for the avionics manufacturing. So we produce avionics from PCB until the final assembly, so the end-to-end process for avionics development. So in this part, we manufacture the PCBs, we weld individually each component until coming into the inspection area, where we check that all the weldings and the several protection layers we add to the avionics are well implemented. So we can make sure that the avionics we produce are passing all the quality standards we need to integrate later those PCBs or those avionics elements into the avionics system and the mechanical assemblies. So we follow the manufacturing orders to make sure that individually each component is properly fit into the PCB, into the different elements we have for avionics. We inspect by visual inspection all those elements to make sure that there is no any issue during the welding process or during the different protection layers we add. This is extremely important, and we need to keep a very clean ambient to make sure that there is no any potential failure in the manufacturing process due to particles that can be on top of the PCBs. After the final visual inspection for the PCBs, we come to this area where we can check, we can measure that everything is properly working, and later those elements are coming out for the final assembly area, where we are integrated into the mechanical assembly. We perform functional testing to make sure that everything is working, and we prepare it for its assembly into the subsystem, an engine, for example, or into the launch vehicle. So here we're in the vehicle integration area where we are integrating MIURA 5 Stage 1. This is the qualification unit we're going to use for the static wet dress rehearsal, making sure that all the subsystems we have on stage are performing inspected before integrating the unit will fly. So this is quite important because we are integrating 2 vehicles before the third that will launch. So that makes us to rapidly integrate and test, making sure that the vehicle will fly, so the third unit will be with no issues. It's so important because there are not so many companies around the world doing that. Actually, you see here the interstage with the pushers and retainers that will participate during the separation event between the first stage and the second stage, as well as the RCS fully integrated. You see Stage 1 MIURA 5, which is theoretically a micro launcher, but it's not so micro. You see it's a huge vehicle, and will be the new vehicle flying from French Guiana and the largest privately developed launcher in Europe. Here we are in the integration area for avionics components. You can see a lot of avionics components in the final steps on the assembly. And in this area, we basically inspect PCBs and make sure that everything is ready for its integration into the mechanical assemblies, all the boxes we use to protect the PCBs. And even if there is no required to have a clean room, we try to keep as much clean as possible this area just to avoid any contamination that can produce any failure during flight or during the testing. So we try to keep it clean.
In the past months, the MIURA 5 program has passed several key milestones in subsystem development and testing. We have performed vibration testing for fairing mechanisms and the complete fairing assembly, evaluating its behavior under this extreme environment. After those tests, the fairing opening sequence was performed to evaluate its functionality, and no issues were found. Several subsystems were subject to an extensive vibration test campaign. Stage 1 and 2 RCS were tested under vibration and expected operating conditions, evaluating their behavior. The payload adapter fitting was subject to vibration testing, adding a 600 kg mass satellite dummy on top. Those tests were performed in the Spanish Institute for Aerospace Techniques. Avionics subsystem advances to the final phases of qualification. In this last month, we covered the graded environments in vacuum, salt fog, and vibration. All tests at the Avionics components were passed without any relevant issue. The team has also performed immersion testing for critical avionics elements, making sure that mechanical housings are resistant to water, especially for avionics elements located in the engine section. The RCS on both Stage 1 and 2 were tested at operational conditions under pressure and flight actuation commands, evaluating its proper performance to meet flight needs. Both Stage 1 and 2 RCS has been validated for flight. Stage 1 and 2 fluid umbilical main panels were tested under real conditions, considering both pressure and temperatures for kerosene, high-pressure helium, and liquid oxygen, performing an extensive test campaign, evaluating separation dynamics, and making sure that no leaks were present during propellant transfer. All those tests were nominal, and all umbilicals are now qualified. Stage 1 and 2 primary structure has fully qualified, passing through a series of compression testing and internal loads, covering all applicable cases for yield loads and ultimate loads. Also, we performed more than 150 fuel tank qualification tests, considering applicable loads for stage reusability. The thrust section was subject to 120% of the maximum expected load environment, passing structural qualification. This test was performed replacing engine by hydraulic actuators, providing 1.2 meganewton during the test. Test also considered lateral forces, simulating the T0 event, where engines will be ignited, but the vehicle will keep hold on the pad before release. A second unit of the payload adapter fitting was qualified in compression and lateral loads, passing all test campaigns. After completing all structural qualification and vibration testing, this satellite interface is ready for flight. Stage 1 and 2 engines, Teprel C and CBAC, were subject to dozens of test campaigns on our new test bench TE7. Ignition and shutdown sequences has been frozen, and engine behavior meet both requirements and simulation. Engine test campaigns are progressing, and both engines continue their qualification, providing a huge amount of data that will help us to make this new family of engines reliable for MIURA 5 maiden flight.
Regarding the launch complex development, we are working both here in Spain and in French Guiana. At CSG, we are advancing very fast regarding the civil works, and we are working together with the safety team of the Space Center in order to go through the different phases of the ground safety submission. Here in Spain, we are now in the production phase of the Stromback and the different ground support equipment that will be very soon ready to be moved to Teruel for testing first, and then to be shipped to French Guiana.
So Q4 2025 for us from the business development team, it was very proud to successfully pass our Ministerial Council 2025. So thank you very much to the Ministry of Science, Innovation and Universities in Spain, CDTI, and for sure our National Space Agency supporting us in that ministerial and securing our position in front of the European Launcher Challenge. It's a big contract, 169 million euros to develop our next version of MIURA 5 launch vehicle, to support ESA to develop the next generation of competitive and privately developed launch vehicles in Europe. Also that year it was very, very interesting for us, concluding several contracts with our customers. So our customers are very, very proud of the development of MIURA 5 and following the successful of MIURA 1 and crossing the fingers for 2026 to see our first launch vehicle flying successfully into orbit.